Rodri did not rob Vinny Jr. of the Ballon d'Or awards, but the claims that Vinny lost out because of racism aren't as outlandish as they might seem. And let me explain. To clear things up, I'm not saying this just to be contrarian. Right? I was making this argument well before the news was announced that Rodri won. I was making this argument with my friends. And as you can see by this jersey and the flag and the scarf in the back, I'm a Liverpool fan and someone that actually used to support Madrid when Ronaldo was playing for them. So I still have some love for that club, and by no means have any biases towards City or Rodri or anything of that nature. I think if you just look at the metrics used to evaluate the best player, being individual performance, team performance and achievements, and then lastly, class and fair play, Rodri beats out Vinny. Vinny had more quote unquote bigger moments, just given his position. People remember him, torching Kimmich in the semifinals of the Champions League, him scoring in the final. These were big moments that required big time plays, and he stepped up, and people remember those moments. But I think it's sometimes hard to appreciate Rodri's position, right? If you are a fan of the game beyond just the stats and the goals, you do notice Rodri and you do notice the consistency that he plays for both club and country. I think it's sometimes easy to overlook the good attributes that he has, right? So whether that's passing an accurate ball and finding the attackers and creating chance for his team, or being in the right position to break up plays and stopping the opponent from scoring, or doing his defensive work and stepping in for the fullback who maybe stepped up. Like these things are super important, require a lot of game intelligence and reading of the game, but they aren't as recognizable or as memorable as when Vinny goes on an amazing run, scores a crazy goals, or has an amazing assist. But we shouldn't neglect or underappreciate those. Right? Rodri had more of those top performances throughout the whole season than Vinny did. If you look back over the whole season, Jude was actually the one carrying Madrid for the first half of the season. Right? Vinny didn't start going until the later stages of the season, but Rodri, right, from match day one to the end of the season for City and for Spain, he was putting in top performance. And then if you compare their performance at the international stage, Vinny was non-existent for Brazil, who were favorites to win the Copa America and didn't make it past the quarterfinals, which is quite disgraceful, right? And he was their star man, their best player. Rodri, on the other hand, took a team that was nowhere near the discussions for the favorites, and they were by far the best team of the tournament, right? Winning the whole thing undefeated and were super comfortable for most of the games. And Rodri was the backbone of that team, right? Him and Yamin were the two best players on the team, and ultimately Rodri won the best player of the tournament. And so when you take all those into consideration on an individual basis, Rodri had a better season. Right? I know people make the argument, oh well, Messi would have a bad season with Argentina and still win the Ballon d'Or. I can see where you're getting, but that's not comparing apples to apples here, because Messi and Ronaldo were so far ahead of everybody else that when he had a bad season with Argentina, he was still miles better than everybody else, right? So it's not the same comparison here, because this is a very tight race. And when you don't have a complete season with Madrid and then you don't do well with Brazil, that's going to impact your rating. Now on to team awards. Vinny last year had 3 trophies and Rodri had 4. Right? Rodri wins out there. If you look at the prestige or which of those awards are more value, right? Prem over La Liga, Euros over the Champions League, and the Super Cup. You can compare that to the Club World Cup, or what's the name of that competition that the Europa League and the Champions League play? I forgot, but anyway, the trophy I'm talking about. And so, individual performance, team performance, Rodri was the clear winner there. And now it comes down to this third category, which is a bit more subjective. And I can see why someone make the argument that race played a role here, right? Because when you take in consideration the sad reality that racism still exists in this sport, and the fact that, Vinny is practically getting racially abused every other week, and it's a very tight race, I can see why somebody, especially when you have journalists coming out and saying, oh, I voted for Rodri because of his class, because of his humility, because he went to college, right? When those are the claims that some of these people voted for the award are saying, then I can see why someone would make the argument that, hey, racism played a role here, because in my opinion, Vinny was better. And the reason he didn't win was because racism, maybe unconsciously or whatnot. it played a role. I think it did play a role, but I just don't think it's as impactful as some people are making out to be. Just given the reasons I've mentioned above. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. One more thing, actually, the fact that my boy Mo Salah was not nominated for this award when he was top three winger like in the world last year, and he was not nominated. That's disgraceful. Like, I get these awards over the years have overemphasized the team performance, but at the end of the day, these are individual awards, right? The best player should be in the discussion for these awards, and to not have Mo Salah nominated is just disgraceful. To have Cole Palmer, probably on an individual basis, the best player in the Prem last year, not in the top 10 is disgraceful. He was what, 19th? Anyway, I'll leave it there. But here's my take. Let me know what you guys think.